So in today's video, we're taking a look at my two favorite toothbrushes. One is the Oral B 1000, and probably the real reason you're here is the Brio Smart Clean. Now, I've used both of these toothbrushes for some time now, and honestly, I can say that there are some pros and cons to each, and we're going to cover them. But the first thing I want to do is talk about a regular manual toothbrush. If you're still using one, please upgrade to an electric toothbrush. It doesn't cost that much, and the ease and the clean of an electric toothbrush is just so much better. Just throw away all of the old manual toothbrushes that you have and make sure that you have a solid electric toothbrush. Now that we have that out of the way, we're going to talk about my two favorite toothbrushes. Now, I have used the Oral B longer, but in the recent months, I actually have a new favorite. So spoiler alert, I actually like the Brio better, but stick around and you'll find out why. Now, I don't want to bore you with the specs on each of these, but I do want to give you some of the features that are common between them and then some of the ones that are different. So both of them do have a 2-minute timer with 30-second intervals. So you have 4 sections of your mouth and you spend 30 seconds on each. They both have that feature. They both obviously are electric, but they clean much more efficiently than any manual toothbrush ever could. And the last thing I want to note is that they both have rechargeable lithium batteries, so you just set them on the charger, they charge, you're good to go. So let's get into some of the details of why you may want to choose one or the other. So the first thing is the price. They are very similar in price. The Brio comes in at about $70. The Oral B comes in at about $65, though you can find it for about $50. I have put links to both of these below so that you can check them out. But there are 3 key areas in which I feel like the Brio is a much better toothbrush, and that $20 difference if you can get the Oral B on sale is just not worth it for me, and I would much rather go with the Brio. So let's touch on those. First, the settings on these toothbrushes. The Oral B has one setting, you turn it on, you go, there's no anything to change, you just brush your teeth. The Brio, on the other hand, has 5 different settings, and I found that most of the time I use the highest setting and or the massage setting, just depends on what I feel. Now, when I first switched to the Brio from the Oral B, I was kind of underwhelmed because the Oral B is loud, it's aggressive, the head on it moves a large amount, there's a good amount of play there. And so when I switched to the Brio, I was like, there's no way this is gonna clean my teeth. But there are 5 different settings. It vibrates at 31,000 RPM, so it is very fast. So the movement may seem like it's not there, but it absolutely is. And I absolutely get a better clean with the Brio. That may just be my opinion. I don't have any scientific evidence to prove that. But my teeth feel cleaner and my breath smells better when I use the Brio. And so my preference is for the Brio. The second thing that is very different between these two is the battery life. Now, most of us aren't traveling for months at a time, but the Oral B only lasts a week, whereas the Brio lasts for 6 weeks. I've only had to charge the Brio a couple of times, whereas the Oral B has actually died on trips for me, and I've forgotten to bring my charger. And so if you charge the Brio before you go, you are set. If you're taking longer than a week trip, you know, the Oral B may not be the best option as far as not having to bring a charger, but it's still a great option. I do have a trip planned up that is 8 days, and so the Oral B would actually die a couple of days before I come home. So, you know, I'm definitely going to be taking the Brio because the battery life is so much better, the clean is better, and it just, in my opinion, is a much better toothbrush. Now, I do want to compare kind of the feel of these. Maybe the feel's not important to you in a toothbrush, but what I've noticed is that the Brio just feels better in your hand. It has a little bit more weight, and it just fits better. I am used to lifting barbells, many of you likely are as well, and this just kind of feels like the right circumference, whereas this is, I don't know, it's a weird shape. It doesn't feel the best in my hand. So Brio, obviously, I'm highly opinionated, but the Brio's winning in pretty much every category that I've tested. I hope you're enjoying this video so far. If you are, please hit that like button. Also comment below if you want to see other grooming products that I use. The last thing I want to touch on is a pet peeve of mine, and that is toothbrush stains. And if you don't know what that is, anytime you brush your teeth, you rinse it off. If you sit it on your counter and you end up with this dried toothpaste on your counter, it's disgusting. It drives me absolutely insane, and the Oral B always leaves rings. If you see here, there's this kind of perfect circle. I don't know why. I can rinse this, I can turn it on and just do everything I can, but there's a hole here that goes inside the head, and so there's just some water that gets stored up, I guess. And as it sits on the counter, it leaks down the side and it creates this disgusting ring. And that has been the biggest pet peeve of mine. The biggest thing that has driven me away from the Oral B is just, it's gross and it leaves stains all over. And when I first got the Brio, I didn't know if that issue was going to be solved. I thought maybe that was just a general issue with electric toothbrushes, but I've yet to have any kind of toothpaste ring with the Brio Smart Clean. So in my mind, and actually if you can tell, I tried to turn this on, it's dead. I haven't used this in a really long time. This, it works because 6 weeks of battery and I use this daily. So in my opinion, if you need an electric toothbrush, the Brio Smart Clean is absolutely